So with that said, and why are we focusing on reps today? As you all know, or may not know, in Song of Friends, Faith recently released a video from that was filmed at the ashram in 14th Street, so back before El Dorado. Um, and that video had reps talking to students, um, individuals like Bob Stouffer, who we just had lunch with, and he was like 22 or 5, I don't know, 25 or something, and Jambavon and Dave Aki, and these students that are still around today were in the living room there, and reps was basically giving a talk about how simple meditation can be if we let it be, and he always has a way of relating you to your practice in a really in a way that goes beneath the currents of the mind. He sort of slides in below the mental currents. And you like, I remember yesterday after finishing watching it in preparation for this, I just sort of went outside and just sat outside in the moonlight and just sort of like just sat there. And I was just like really in a good, just in like in a natural space. I was like, what do I really need to do right now except for just absorb? And so that was one way that it sort of came to me. And we'll see what it does for you. Anything else? Feels like a good intro. All right, cool. So let's start. Let's start standing. And let me get a clock on the screen. Cool. We'll just do like 10 minutes or so. 10 minutes or so. And some way that Reps talks about in his video, which I'm not going to act like I have mastered or anything, but he refers to it, is this idea of sort of receiving light. And so he'll see in the video, he says, feet apart for stability, feet straight ahead for integrity. Oh, and then it's nice to have a camera angle that gets as your head in the shot. Cool. So feet apart for stability, feet straight ahead for integrity. So that's like Tadasana. And then go and rock your feet forward into the ball mounds of the feet, and then rock your weight back into the heels. Notice your breath flow right away. And what do you want to do with your breath? Something that Reps cues in his movement at the beginning is, should your mouth be open or closed? That's up to you to decide. And then see if you can allow the weight to feel like it's somewhat equal between the ball mounds of the feet and the heels. Gently press through the big toe and feel the thighs sort of spiral open very gently. You'll feel a slight tone on the back body. From there, we can easily just sort of scoop the air up in front of us slowly. We're going to go up to the horizon like we usually do and pause, and then release the arms down. Ideally, as you scoop the air in front, you can feel the core muscles, the deep core, not the superficial, starting to engage to support you. Why don't you fall forward when your arms go forward? Why don't you fall forward? And it's because there's a part of you that sort of strengthens towards your center to hold you at center. Feel what keeps you from falling forward as the arms lift, and you can just hold them at the horizon for a moment. Do your shoulders come up with your arms, or can they relax separately? And then from there, the arms can continue on their upward path, making a big sort of open receiving, almost like a satellite dish. And as we'll see in Rep's video, he talks about receiving sunlight. And so you might be in artificial, we're all probably in artificial light right now, but maybe there's some light coming in. And just take a couple of breaths and feel yourself receive. And you can close your eyes and actually imagine like the sun coming up and receiving. In the video, there's not a lot of discussion or teaching on this, but he has the hands come down slowly with your exhale. And you sort of take that energy and move it down through sort of to the earth. Well, and you can relax We'll just roll the shoulders back a few times. Another little something. I'm going to just steal all rep stuff and we'll do it with reps in a minute. Interlacing the hands, turning the palms forward and just pressing forward for a moment. Then you can release. So bring the hands to the back side, interlacing and reaching back. And then release. And then I'll start to do some stuff, some normal things. We're going to scoop and bend and then elevate and extend. And then scoop and bend. Oh, and we have a clasp in the front, could be fun. Yeah, we're putting things together and then elevate and extend and then a clasp in the back. So play with that. Scoop and bend and extend the arms forward. And then up on your tiptoes and you're reaching back. Do you want to pause in either of these shapes? Do it. Don't wait for me to cue it. Let's try to finish maybe after a complementary pair. And because a lot of us have forward rounding tendencies because of our day, from your Tadasana, just take a step forward. And then you might want to like just sort of inch the back heel back a little bit. Back foot is still facing pretty much forward. And we can bend the front knee, scooping forward, clasping hands and reaching up. Cool. And then you can release down, an option to grab those hands behind and lengthen forward over the leg. So one more time in the front. Feel the power of this from the back heel through the heart, through the hands. And then forward folding. From here, if it's okay with your balance, you can actually drop down to one knee. And then we can take that forward fold into one more back bend. Counterposing that, hands frame foot, fingertips can frame, and then finishing with an easy lengthened forward fold, massaging heel, wagging tail. Because it's been mostly forward and back movements, let's just spin to the side so that leg that's in front is now out to the side, turning the foot out. And then you can do a big half circle, lengthening the side bodies in Parigasana and back. Just take your time with it. Always feeling buoyant. It's not really, the depth is only half of it. The buoyancy is what carries you the rest of the day. Last one. Option here for getting up. I'm going to just go ahead and cue bringing the feet into a squat, rounding forward, or if that's not really ideal for your body, you can turn towards the leg, stand up, and get up. But if you're down here and you're into the squat, you can roll up and then roll shoulders back. Yeah, maybe a shake at the top. All right, I'm turning the other way. It's tough to remember. Okay, so we're in Tadasana. You're going to step the other foot forward, which, did I even say a foot last time? My bad, everybody. But hopefully you can remember it's the other foot forward. And then you're bending into that front knee, interlacing the hands and reaching up and feeling that line from the back heel through the heart up through the hands. And then the hands reverse back. Option to interlace, so you can just reach back. And then find your flow, maybe 2 more sets total. Next time you're in that forward fold, you can just drop the back knee and you can interlace the hands there and make that forward fold into a very subtle extension for the back, a lifting of the heart, a lengthening of the back of the neck. Releasing over the leg, framing foot, wag tail, massage heel. Turning open in the hips, keeping that foot that was in front now out to the side, and rainbow scooping laterally, buoyancy and length. I find myself turning my gaze up as I'm bending, and then I like let the whole head turn towards the extended leg as I come out. How do you want to come up to standing? Do you want to turn towards that leg and stand up, or do you want to go through a squat and roll up? However you get there, finish with some shoulder rolls and some light bouncing. All right, any last minute thing you want to do while we get ready for the next portion of class? You got a minute on your own? I guess that's where I'm going to sit. All right, now we're going to transition into our video. The title that Reps gave the video in the video is By Respecting Light, We Come to In Light. And now we get to play with this tech situation. So I'm going to go ahead and share the video screen. Got it. I'm going to rewind. Let's get the...
So if you can be gentle and violent, gentle
Sounds
to
like you have
yourself,
video audio, I
you've
mean.
really done something. But I doubt if...
All right, I'm going to let it play from here, and then I'm going to work on how to get this video playing for people in this room. But take your time sort of settling in, and we'll watch about 14 or 15 minutes of it. We'll meditate for a little bit afterwards, and then we'll have some time for writing and discussion.
Then slowly come back and slowly to the far left. Without the eyes looking, so the eyes half closed. Then come back, but don't jerk the head back quick. Now should your mouth be closed or open? you must ask, and should you keep this should you keep this movement going, or should you throw it away and become a roughneck and move violently? So if you can be gentle and gentle to yourself, you have really done something. But I doubt if you could like a gentle American, because he doesn't belong here. He belongs in India, where they're all gentle and where they don't wear shoes and have big feet and big hearts. But USA is going so fast that it forgets the big heart. So if you want to be gentle with yourself, well, you've already done it. So what can you lose? But if you want to be ungentle with yourself, then you make your own trouble. So we make our own trouble in life. So somebody invented electricity. And was this good or is this bad? Because you can stay up half the night with electricity instead of go to bed with the birds. But maybe the birds know better than the humans, because they go to bed when it gets dark. And what happens if you go to bed when it gets dark? Of course, without eating after sundown. Why, you get gentle. And you wake up with the sun. And when the sun wakes up, everything wakes up and opens up. And in India, they go and they receive the opening sun. So this position might be the receptivity of the originating of light by the sun coming here. It's true, it might be better to live in a planet where it's all light and you didn't have to go through the darkness. But we're here in the darkness, so why not respect the light? Well, we don't need to respect the light because we've got artificial light. So everybody gets crude and hard, and they decide to fight. All because they didn't receive the light. So my idea tonight is to investigate as to whether I might have some way of receiving light. And all I know about it is that I have to go to bed early in order to wake up early. So if I receive light this way, I have an ambidextrous motion, that is both-sided, and I'm pulling my eyes, which are asleep when they're down, up. It is a kind of a strain on the eyes to pull them up. But naturally, if I make this movement, I kind of pull the eyes up. So let us all pretend we are receiving the rising sun in India and taking this gesture with soft eyes. And then after receiving light, what are we going to do with it? Well, we turn that light in on us and down through the body, slow motion, and into the living earth. Well, who ever heard of the living earth? But we are the earth. We are the living earth. And so the next thing we will do is do the same thing standing up. Now feet straight ahead, apart for stability and parallel for integrity. And then we're in India and the sun comes up slowly, so we lift slowly and we receive the light. A movement, an exercise, a stretch of receiving light. And having received light on our in-breath flow, we turn that light toward us and we direct it over our top head through our head, down into the heart, and on down into the body base, where we turn the light into the living earth, where it's coming anyway. Thank you. Sit down. So we can do it sitting down or standing up, but it's better standing up. So I decided that a person should, if anyone wants to go and hear somebody talk, why, the person who is speaking should have a subject and should write out the subject. So I wrote out the subject of our hour together, and I have extra ones in case you want to take it with you. It isn't well done because it has the light lines here. But anyway, it says, by respecting light, we come to in-light. Now, light, what do you mean, refs, by light? Do you mean electric light? No, I mean nature light. Well, how do you know what's nature light? Do you mean energy? Yes, I mean energy. So if you don't like the word light, why, just use the word energy, or Allah, or Kuda, or Brahman, or God, or anything. But when you go through this opening experience, you don't use a computer. The computer is a very good servant to us because it can distinguish A from B, and B from C, and C from D, and 1 from 2, and 2 from 3, and 3 from 4. So the computer is a divider, is a collector of parts. But the invocation to the sun, and in India they have long, a series of movements in the invocation to the sun. By respecting light, we come to in-light, the light we are, and we enter this in-light through sound. So, there is something we might call sound, or vibrance, or in-vibrance, and it's in us. To prove this, if you just put your fingers in your ears, you can hear this sound. It may be a roar, maybe you can't hear it, it may be a tone, it may be kind of a hum, but apparently we are alive and something in us is singing, or in singing. And this is where they got the word in light. There is a lot of theory of how about a human and how the human should be enlightened. But nobody ever explains it because nobody understands it. But if we're in darkness and then in light, well, then the simplest explanation would be in light brings invitation of light into darkness. See? So if we are cognizant of the fact that we are alive because we heard it or we hear it, why then maybe we can connect through sound into our in light. But this sounds kind of esoteric. Or how does it sound? It sounds kind of funny. It sounds kind of a little argumentative. So how can I appreciate light? Well, nobody apparently cares about light. And we don't know what light is because we're tangled in light and darkness place. Many planets probably have no darkness at all. And many people perhaps are just flooded with light because you can see it in their sparkling eyes and in their happiness. So this light that I'm projecting is to me the lightness and the joy of anybody, anytime. So there is that joy in people, as well as sorrow, as well as meanness. There is this ebullient, this bubbling, this joy, and that's what I identify as light. The cat knows it. The cat extends it in purring. So if you listen to the breath also, the breath is purring all the time. So thanks to light, we can breathe. And we're starting to breathe, and we breathe in and we breathe out, and we breathe in and we breathe out. So if you simply sit still and let the eyes lower or close and put your mind attention on your breath flow, you will have the experience of inlight, supposedly. So there are hundreds of ways of sitting still and what they call meditating. And so far as I know, it is an invitation to light. But how are you going to get into light except through sound? Because sound is a much lower vibration than light. But light is so fast that we can't get into it. It's so fast that we can only live it or experience it. So probably each cell of our system is operative because it's in light. So the appreciation of light becomes almost a poem or poetic. It's hardly philosophic. It's too simple. It's hardly religious because there's nothing to hang on to. So it's probably an experience of joy. So what can you do, what practice can you do to make yourself more blissful? I don't know, but I invent light and submit it to you as something to consider. So where am I? Am I in sound, or am I in light, or am I in concept and percept? And the percept is the I see it, and the concept is the mouth says it. And so the mouth is always dealing in concepts, and the eyes are always dealing in percepts. And thus we are tangled. So to untangle, we have to play it, or have a new way, or invent something. And what we invent might serve us in some way, and not necessarily serve someone else. But people have made thousands of prayers to light, to the divinity of light, and this is my poetic expression of it. But how are we going to receive light if we tighten up too much and get our body out of position and get rough on ourselves? Then we lose it. So to sit comfortably is the first requirement. If we can't be comfortable, we should lie down. Because to sit uncomfortably gets us nowhere. So this man here is now sitting comfortably and listening to somebody talk. And his arms are relaxed, and he's listening. And he's looking. But he should be looking down, not at me. Because when you look down, you release the eye strain. And the eye is always peeking to look at things, make eye strain. So he should be looking down this way. And his head should be floating up from the back. So to get him to float his head up from the back, let's ask him just to take his hand and touch his neck. And then bring it down, gets down again. And by that touch on the neck is stretched a little. The fine muscles from the head to the backbone open up a little. Whenever this happens when you touch anyone. If you love somebody, you touch them, and they kind of release, you see. So just by releasing, just by touching the neck and the back, it releases the back and the head. So the head floats up. And when the head floats up, all the nervous strains on the nerve muscles are released, and we feel better. So that's one way to sit up straight. How simple, and doesn't cost anything.
We're going to pause here online and sit here locally. There's still a couple more minutes for them to catch up. But use that last guidance to feel that length through the spine and just see where this work lands for you. One of the most profound aspects of Rep's words is how he really stays below the thought waves of the mind in great simplicity, poetic simplicity that allows you to remember that meditation is a natural act. It's not just a technique that someone invented, but it's a state of being that's residing within us. The act of following your breath flow, as he talked about, is a way of tracing this vibration back inwards towards this finer quality of light that is hard to grasp, moves faster than sound, as he puts it. The cat purrs as an expression of their aliveness, and so we also purr in our breathing. To experience your breath like the purring of a cat is to feel your aliveness while you breathe. You can take a moment to raise the arms up like he talked about and imagine that light and let yourself fill with it in the heart. And then he had us bring it in, slow motion. Each breath is a similar opportunity. The inhale is this experience of bringing in, sort of receiving, rather, receiving this light. And as you exhale, you absorb it. And essentially, this work should allow us to be, as reps began the talk with, gentler with ourselves and with each other. What does gentler mean? That's up to each of us to feel for ourselves. It's just one of many words to describe this experience, but it's the word that reps used and chose. As you breathe right now, you can ask yourself whether you're breathing with this gentleness, whether you are bringing in this quality of light, receiving and absorbing. And as Rep said, if not, then just sort of try again, just ask again. And in the very asking, you have become gentler. And we can finish with that simple exercise that reps began with, turning the head to one side in slow motion, feeling that stretch and slowly moving back through the center into the other side. And back to center. And let's try and extend this gentleness and this experience in rep style um, to the page. Let's give ourselves some time to explore it. I wrote a few of the concepts down in an effort to just, classic, just to give you some ways to relate to the material again. And so I'm just going to just touch on them real quick. If you don't have a pen and paper nearby, welcome to go grab it. You don't have to hear me or you can just be in the back of the room. He had that introductory stretch. That introductory stretch. Let me just get this on the screen for everybody here. Had the emphasis of gentleness. What did that mean to you? You know, why is gentleness hard in America? Well, this is years ago, so maybe it's hard everywhere now. But nonetheless, at the time, he specifically said, America, we're moving too fast. Do you feel that way? Do you feel like you lose your gentleness? There's the concept of just the circadian rhythm. This is concept of natural light, natural rhythms. Like, what does that mean to you? Is that something you value? Is that something that you factor into your practice? Have you ever tried to go to bed with the birds or only when you're camping? Uh, and what do we mean by light? He talked about, do I mean electric lights? Do I mean nature, sunlights, or do I mean energy? He said all of it. And then the last part was sound as a path to light, hearing the ohm sound. There's something inside of us singing, and that this sound is a path to light. It's a way to tap into light. Um, and he talked a little bit there at the end about postural cues for meditation, touching the back of the neck, for example, and being relaxed in your seat. So I'll leave those in your court. Just only write about what's inspiring to you, and feel free to write in a reps way where you just sort of go after the essence and don't worry about anything else. All right. So taking these last 30 seconds to either finish your thoughts or reread what you wrote, underline a key word or phrase. And because we are running a little low on time today, don't hesitate to go ahead and drop that keyword or phrase into the chat box. All right. Anyone else? Okay. All right. Let's read a few. Wow, I look so dark on that screen. Can't tell what's real. Does it look super dark to you guys? Like it's really dark in here. Okay, it's just our screen. Okay. Um, source, soft heart, radiant, natural rhythm, strip away illusion, illuminate, light equals energy from the person who actually is like a physicist person. Exactly. Equal sign. Surrender feels like making space for light, patience, and speechless. All right. Who wants to elaborate? Oh, Chaitanya, expose lightness encased, dissolve casing gently. Great. We have a poem on the books. Great job. Expose lightness encased, dissolve casing gently. Okay. Can I have an expounder on their keyword? All right. Jatila, thanks.
Yeah, that was wonderful. I wrote soft heart.
Oh, hold on. Let
Uh,
me get my audio right. I can't hear you yet.
oh,
Give me one sec. Select the speaker. Got it. Okay, go for it.
yeah, I wrote soft heart. When he was having us do those slow, gentle movements, um, it felt very soothing. I felt quiet and still inside, light in my feet, and then I said, and soft in my heart. Kind of like instead of just moving, you kind of, I don't know how exactly to explain it. It was like as I was moving and feeling the outside of my body, there was no disconnect between that and my heart. Like I felt like with that gentle movement, I could keep this soft awareness and was just soft inside.
No. Do you want to comment on that? You're good. That's awesome. Yeah, I actually got the same feeling when I was doing the practice with reps in preparation for this class. I just realized like, man, teaching yoga is we have such a bigger opportunity than we realize because we get so bound by the body. But it's like if you can really connect inside, I mean, you can give people an experience of their heart just in the way that you move, much less these postures that actually help to support the nervous system and sort of unwind it. Yeah, I feel like that dissolving of like external movement and heart space. Yeah, I really could not agree with you more. It really inspired me to be like, when I'm teaching yoga, I could be teaching this. And thanks, Shatila. Yes, Gita.
I chose the line "something alive in us is singing," and it made me think that aliveness has a radiant quality. Radiation is vibration moving out. Therefore, singing is infectious.
Wow. Just absorbing that. Yeah, you really sort of nailed that approach to explaining natural phenomenon. Radiation is vibration emanating out. That as it's like, oh, I get it now. Because we think of radiation as sort of something negative all the time, but it's really just the vibration of this thing going out could be like an open heart.
Yep, exactly.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's such a special opportunity when we get to like chant together, in these settings, either whether it's online or, Monday night or in the same room, like the Guru Gita in the mornings here at the ashram. I think a lot of times we forget like that by just being in our heart and and opening up and practicing it really does have that effect on our surroundings. Thank you for making radiation not a bad word anymore. That's awesome. You changed that forever. Any last comments or thoughts? We got a couple minutes. You're gonna have to grab the mic though. Okay. Anyone? Here we go. We got a mic picked up in here. If you could just come next to me. I'll delete this. There you go.
Hey, can you hear me? Um, I was just reflecting on what Reps started by saying, like, something along the lines of I go to bed early so that I can wake up early. And that's always really hard for me because, like, nighttime is fun, you know? And it really made me feel like, oh, like if we want to open to the light and like embrace the light, there sort of is a sacrifice, you know. It's like we kind of have
Are
to
you gonna
like
embrace the night or embrace the light?
I said I
Yeah.
did say something like that.
Yeah.
Choose light, sacrifice the night. uh, so almost like setting ourselves up to be in that receptive space. And like it in some ways I mean it's sacrificing something small, but it is really that like surrender that it takes to have space to let the light in.
Does anybody here feel like they're in a constant battle to go to bed early? Anybody? Everybody like, no, you guys got it all dialed in? Awesome. You're amazing. Yeah, yeah, it is a real battle. We were actually just talking about the science of that this morning, how the more tired you get, the more challenging it is to make the appropriate decisions, because your prefrontal cortex takes the most energy and it's the one responsible for you making those good decisions to go to bed and to embrace the light. So it's a real natural and challenging phenomenon. But I guess maybe an approach to that is to really just remind ourselves at night like what we're like choosing and to like make that choice a conscious one. But we'll see how it goes. We'll try it tonight. Well, that brings us up to just a minute after the hour. So I'm sorry there wasn't a ton more time for discussion, but I appreciate everybody being here. Namaste. And I hope that was inspiring for you. Next week, Chaitanya takes the mic. He's going to be leading us through a Davik stories. We're going to be chanting together. Radiation will be